Shalom Aleichem. Assalamu Alaikum. Namaste. Peace unto you. Pax vobistum. Tashidelek. With all the greetings that I know in all my relations, it is a pleasure to talk with you and to ask the presence of the Ancient of Days, which is one of the Kabbalistic ways of speaking of God beyond the stories of life that people go through, to be here with us and to inspire us. And I ask for Sophia, the source of wisdom, to inspire us, because it's at this age in life that wisdom is so needed. Jung raises an important question when he says, what's the point of our living after 50 when we have procreated and raised our children? And the answer to this is that our Mother, the Earth, needs the transmission that people who have had life experience and distilled wisdom from it give it over to the next generation. I would have loved to have the conversation here with Coleman Barks. I prayed that he should have a total recovery from his stroke. What a wonderful thing he has done for us to get us to hear in English the great and beautiful voice of Mavlana Jalaluddin Rumi, and giving his words into translation. One of the teachings of Rumi that remained with me that shows how life proceeds, I want to share with you. I was born a stone, and I died as a stone. I was resurrected as a plant, and I died as a plant, and I was resurrected as an animal, and I died as an animal, and I was resurrected as a human, and I died as a human, and I was resurrected as an angel, and I died as an angel, and I was resurrected into God. O death, what I have gained through your agency. What an amazing piece of wisdom that is from Rumi that Coleman Barks brought to us. So many blessings to you to heal and to get well. And those of you who are going to view this, what is so important is that we find a way that is not timid to give over to the incoming generation. You see, what has happened is that in the way in which we have social mobility, we do not live in the same household for 3-4 generations. And that means that children and parents don't get along so well. I mean, Freud has pointed that out. My father was my Oedipal enemy, and his father was his Oedipal enemy. And so his father, my grandfather, was my Oedipal ally. And how wonderful it is to be able to get the wisdom of generations beyond the middle generation to feed back in. Because what is the point that Earth allows us to live and have the extended lifespan? First of all, the extended lifespan allows us to also reach extended awareness. People who have the extended lifespan and don't get to extended awareness are not living longer, they're dying longer. Those who live longer are the ones whose awareness grows and is wider and sees itself not so much as an ego place, but as one deployed in the process and the chain of life that goes from generation to generation to an always greater awareness for the planet, because we too will be recycled when the time comes. And if, as I believe, reincarnation will be, how wonderful it'll be to find the wisdom that we have deposited here to await us in our next incarnation when we come back. For all this, I am so grateful that we have this opportunity for sharing. And the timidness that we have about speaking up has to stop, because this is the reason why we got these extra years. This is the reason why we were able to take the time to sit back in that state that's called retirement and look at the larger panorama and to see it all over again and to say, now I see, I am not grabbed by one side of the polarity or by the other side of the polarity. I have seen what happens in the larger picture in which all of it is there. So when we speak up and change and talk to that new incoming generation, those who would be our spiritual grandchildren, and then they are ready to hear from us, but only if we are ready to hear from them. It is so important to do as the Quakers say, to speak to their condition. But if you don't know what their condition is, your speech is going to be useless and worthless. So I want to end and say, long live the wisdom in us. And in order that it might live long, we want to hand it on to other people and to share with them. And most of all, with wisdom comes blessing. Yes, this is not such an easy time in the world. And yet at the same time, those people who are rebuilding things in Japan, blessings on them. The people who are trying to get freedom in North Africa, blessings on them. The people who are working for peace in Israel with the Palestinians, blessings on them. And the people who are looking for work, blessings on them. And the people who are working on health, education, and welfare, blessings and good budgets on them. All these things should come, and God bless all the people who care to make it a better world. Amen. You heard it? Okay, now I'm going to go to the other. Okay. In all my work about spiritual eldering. Why spiritual? Because if you look, the sensory part of our life is when we are young. That's the spring of our life. And, no, start it again.
Okay, hold on a moment. Give me a moment to readjust
That's
this.
all right.
Okay.
I'm going to start again
Okay.
on that one.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. Okay.
I would like to share with you what is the culmination of my work in spiritual eldering. First of all, I want to say eldering and not just getting old. An elder is a person who has accumulated wisdom and can learn, who is not just an old person, but one who can share the wisdom. But it is a spiritual issue, because when you start looking at the sensory life that we as children begin, that's the winter of our life. And then comes the spring, and we are young people, and we are learning, and we are growing, and we are doing wonderful things. And then comes the summer, in which we are active and have become the people who are meant to become. And then comes the fall, the harvest season. And I wrote about that because while in the sensory thing is in the winter time, and the feeling thing happens to be in the springtime, and the reason thing happens to be in the summertime, the intuition and wisdom thing is what comes in the fall, when we make the harvest of our lives. And it's also intuitive and spiritual. Now, there's some people who will not have opened themselves to the spirituality, But if I were to ask what is the divine plan for those years when there's a diminution of the physical body and many of the organs don't operate the same way, and there comes a certain amount of depression on people because unless they make peace with the body that they inhabit at this time, they will of course always be frustrated that the body does not behave like it behaved when I was 20 or 30. And so it is that element of allowing other people to help us when we need the help for the physical thing. And our exchange is to give part of the wisdom. It is a difficult thing when we are alone, when there's no one else around. And the aches are there. And there seems to be a time when we feel that we don't have the support that we once had from our friends because they have gone. How do you deal with that aloneness, that loneliness? If you have done some of the spiritual work, the aloneness doesn't feel like alone, abandoned. It feels like solitude. Just wonderful solitude, in which we can look at the panorama of life and look back at the times when we were able to do all kinds of wonderful things, how we loved, how we were loved, how we traveled, how we did what we did, how we enjoyed things that no longer we can enjoy, but we still have the memories here. And in the presence of the living God who was there with us when we were strong, we can reminisce and give thanks for that. That's what the harvest time is about. So, how does one cope with that? In two ways. When I'm alone, if I have created a relationship that is a heart relationship, not just a head relationship, a heart relationship with God, a relationship that begins sometimes when I open my eyes in the morning and I say, "Dear God, you decided to be Zalman again for another day? I'll try and give you a nice ride. I'll try and make it worth your while that you decided to be me." And even when it is painful to be able to say, "I'm not alone, you're there with me. I wouldn't feel the pain if you were not there with me. So you can hold my hand. You can support me in this too. And for every breath I have, I give thanks to you." There is a difficulty, however, when we are dealing with other people. And that isn't so easy. Because, as one of our rabbis, Reb Pinchas of Koretz, said, the commandment of visiting the sick and visiting the elderly is a difficult commandment. Why is that? Because they're so preoccupied with their own discomfort, with their own sickness and their own sadness, that you can't hardly have anything else to do with them. And when there is a caregiver and a person feels that anger and doesn't realize that the caregiver is there to help, and then treats the caregiver in not the right way, that is sad. The best answer that I can give for myself and for you is how wonderful it is when some caregiver comes and decides to help us with the infirmities that we have and with the incontinence that we have at that time, and still to say, "And here is another day, and how are you today, and how is your family?" And to stop thinking about oneself again and to be grateful for every bit of help that we get. That is a very, very important part of those end years of life. And then there is something else that has to do with the preparation. I don't know how long I have. Thank God, my body has held out Yes, there have been all kinds of difficulties in between, but I'm very glad that it was a good body and that it helped me. But do I know when my time will come? And when I ask my body, how are you? How do you feel? I hear from my body, I'm tired. Most of the time when somebody comes and says, how are you? I say, I'm all right. But it's not true. I'm tired. And when I should be able to say that from that tiredness, I'm ready to let go, that is wonderful. So this is the part I would like to be able to share at this point. And there's another part coming up. Hello? Okay, I'm going to go down to the next one. All right. People speak of the fear of death. You know, I can't speak as a sociologist at this point. All I can give you is my own wisdom and my own witness. And as this witness, I can tell you that the fear is not the fear of death. The fear is the fear of the pain connected with death, the suffering connected with death. And so it looks at times that there would be a welcome already to be able to say, all right, now the time has come. I'm glad I can leave. I did this piece for Graceful Passages in which I spoke as if I was on my deathbed, giving thanks for the experiences that I had, and then coming to the words, and I let go, and I let go, and I let go. There is a time when I am in bed and I'm about to fall asleep and I pay attention to my out-breath as if it were my last breath. Into thy hands do I commend my spirit, O Lord. And that's fine. Also, I mean, the whole business of the fear of death is people saying, oi, I'll be dead forever. Well, it's true, I won't have my body. And it's true that my body has served me very well. And yes, I've taken it into the shop like a good old Volvo, you know, and I did the upkeep on it and so on and so forth, changed the oil. I did whatever it was necessary. But it can't last forever. So that's not the problem. But the experiences that people have had, even that I have had, of times in which I was out of the body, make me feel that this is not the end. I'd like Kubler-Ross's patient has said, I'd like to be awake when that happens, when I'm in the transition. It's not like Woody Allen, who said, I don't mind dying as long as I don't have to be there. I would like to do like that patient of Kubler-Ross who said, Ich will mein Sterben erleben. I want to live through my dying. It's not often that this is going to happen. I'd like to be able to see what that's like. I'm curious enough to see how I'm going to be wafting over my body, see the family. Yes, they won't be able to see me. I won't be able to reach out to them, but my feeling is going to be there for them. And I think this will be good. And I have talked with them about it too. So it isn't fear of death. It's only the fear of the suffering before. And for this, thank God, we now have an arrangement with people in hospice who are bringing beautiful palliative care to the situation so we don't have to suffer. So when the time comes for you, and for me, may it be an easy one, a joyful and even ecstatic one. And that's what I want to leave you, that as a good life, so a good death to be too. Now, for those who find themselves aging, and the question is where to direct the mind. Well, the first thing is that I want to say don't leave the body. Pay attention to it. The likelihood is that the body will say really well in time, this is enough. This is enough. So it pays attention to that. It also is important to recognize that just the same way as there are mitochondria and there are cells in my body, and they're all doing their job, and how many cells have lived in my body and have died and have gone out? And am I not another cell in the body of our Mother, the Earth of Gaia? So as long as Earth will continue, as long as life will continue, I have done my part. I have been begotten by my parents, and I've begotten my children. And thank God I'm able to see even my great-grandchildren. I know that life will go on, and that my life is in the service of life. And the service of life is, as Teilhard de Chardin has pointed out, our Mother the Earth was a rock, a lithosphere. It was covered with life, it became a biosphere. It was covered with consciousness, and it became a noosphere. And now the planet, with all the difficulties that it's going through, with the tectonic plates shifting, and with the difficulties that are going on in commerce and in politics and everything else, all of which is the way in which the planet is trying to throw off like a snake the old skin that kept it from becoming divine. The planet is on a way to becoming godly. To know that, and to focus on that, and to know that I have had the wonderful opportunity to be deployed in the service of that greater life and the divinization of the planet, that could be enough. When the time comes to go out, to be able to say that Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, or as a Catholic would say, Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now at the hour of our death. All of us are saying we don't want to be alone. And what did Gandhi said just at the last words? Rama, Rama, Rama. Oh God, oh God, oh God. So to recognize that and to find out what is it that we say at an orgasm? Oh God. That too is going to be a way of leaving the body with, oh God. God bless you all. Okay. Listen, I paid attention to who the people are who are going to watch that, And so you go into the heart, into a compassion for them, and you want to open them for it. Okay.